what I learned is a strategy to make art. I'm the kind of person who likes to deconstruct the medium to the point of absurdity. So I remember, for example, that Giulio Ceppi talked about designing a rest stop, and I thought to myself, how would I do that as an art experience? Just to have kind of the courage that that is the right strategy to approach this design problem, that it's okay to be radical in that way, and he himself had some relatively radical ideas that he later presented after presenting a kind of normal solution to his clients, where then he can kind of branch out from that. That was very refreshing to me. So the connection that is made between experience design as a service and material qualities is something that he, for example, and all the architects and designers we've interviewed, they make that, but they do it in a very specific way that tells the story about themselves and how they would do it. I'm really just a person who strategizes strange things in ways that can hopefully create new understanding and new culture. So, for example, if you want to have a new type of marketplace and demands for new commodities, well, it's simple. You create a new culture. Now, given that most of the individuals that we interviewed kind of work with clients and they have a market and they're under the effects of globalization, they've essentially been Americanized in a lot of ways, and that's something that I struggle with back here at home. But again, what I really like about them is I find little pockets of radicalness that they all have that is really influential for me. So Andrea Ponzi's courage just to make a book that's essentially a guess at a technique for observation that can be used in design is something that we need more of. With Plus design, you get something that's totally different. Again, you get a group of people who are willing to push the boundaries in the sense that design really is art, and that resonates very strongly with me. What they do essentially is that they don't actually make design objects into art, because that notion has actually been around for a very long time. I think it's more that the gallery experience is really the way that you should be living. That should be the norm. That's how your house should look like. That's how your experiences should be. With a group like ... it's again different. What I like about them is that you get this kind of technological maquette, and that's just a very interesting way to approach technology and design, because they kind of simplify the technological issue to kind of something that you can work with your hands and on a miniature scale. I think that's a super interesting and clever solution to technological interaction design companies. It's just being creative. And I love Altro Studio's return to simplicity, or their focus on phenomenon on a grand architectural scale, their distaste for superstar architecture. So all these people who are taking codified design practices and kind of making it their own, that there is no formula, that is what I find very refreshing, that they're designing their life and their identity, not products. When I came back, I began to study North American design history, looking at people like Jasper Morrison or Charles and Ray Eames, or even Archigram in the UK, and even just looking at what Canadian talent exists today. And what I found about these people is that they were shaking up the system that they were in, because they were in a system that thought it had understood what it was about. And I find a kind of parallel with our generation as well, in that I don't think that interaction design has gone far enough. We're at the cusp of potentially being the generation that makes the difference for whether this movement has any kind of momentum or life here at home, or whether it just dies off. And I think what's been missing is kind of nuance. So what I've seen happening here is that technology and art are literally just smacked together as one. And the interface in between them is really the critical area where we work. And I feel like we have new ideas about how to put these two together to really melt them very softly and smoothly across each other in a way that I don't think that falls outside of the prediction of what our predecessors or North American design firms think. I think that's our contribution. I mean, I have a whole bunch of ideas about how this can happen, and the whole Italia group has discussed, I think, a lot of very interesting ideas that I don't see being implemented out there in the marketplace. But really, the question is, will we get the chance to tell this to someone, and are they willing to listen? Are they really willing to cook that middle section on a slow simmer and watch it grow to kind of produce new flavors? It's really like cooking on a slow simmer.